evening, world. Here we go. Okay. Yes, it's been a while. All right. So hello and good evening, world. And thank you all for joining us yet again for another special that we do annually here as our welcome back from restoration on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. We are returning from a 5-week hiatus. Yes, in a time that was used for restoration. But yes, world, we are back like a shark attack, back like we left some, back like we ain't got no clothes on our back. And for the world is a better place when the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast is taking place. And so we thank you all for tuning in with us this evening as we conversate about the latest sports topics that have taken place from this past week and will be upcoming this week. It is always a blast to have you all tune in to participate with us every weekend. As a reminder that every week we always like to begin our podcast by reminding our audience that the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast can be found on Facebook via the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast community page, on Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, as well as our own Facebook pages via Brandon Price, Jamar Goodman, Rod Tidwell, as well as our guests for this evening, Victor Scott and Kevin Clarke. Today is March 12th of 2023, and we have yet again seen another fascinating week in the sports world, where we saw our Chicago Bears trade their number 1 overall pick to the Carolina Panthers for wide receiver DJ Moore, the number 9 overall pick, and other draft picks, as well as the conference tournament weekend wrap up, leading us into tonight's Selection Sunday kickoff show. The Miami Dolphins received Jalen Ramsey. The New York Knicks, Milwaukee Bucks, and Sacramento Kings continue their winning ways, as well as meetings now taking place between the New York Jets and a disgruntled, miserable Green Bay Packers quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. And so with that being said, introducing our guest for this morning, for this evening, Mr. Victor Scott. And so, Mr. Victor Scott, this brother goes back with me. He goes back with Ian as well. Vic went to high school with us at Morgan Park. Vic was our quarterback at Morgan Park High School. Vic knows I've been trying to get him on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast for quite some time. And so it is truly a blessing that he's been able to join us on this evening. Vic is married. He has a family. His girl, she went to Morgan Park with us. It is a beautiful thing to see his life unfold. I've seen Vic at Chicago State University, where he went there to play basketball on a scholarship. And then after, Vic went on to play college basketball again. Vic has been, I would say, I've always known him as like that multiple sport athlete. Vic can play baseball, Vic can run track, Vic can play football, he can play basketball, he can do it all and still get good grades. And so Vic today is a very career-oriented man, and he has a lot of success behind his back. And so I'm very proud of this brother. Mr. Victor Scott, I want to personally thank you for joining us this evening on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. My brother, it is a pleasure to have you. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Man, good evening. First and foremost, I appreciate you having me, man. I'm doing good this evening. Pleasure to join y'all and, and just talk a few things about sports, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate it, my brother. Yes. Additionally, introducing our guest for this evening, Mr. Kevin Clarke. Kevin Clarke joins us annually for the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast NCAA Tournament Kickoff Show. Kevin Clarke was the first person to give me my career job in finance out of college. Kevin Clarke has been knowing me for about 10 plus years now and has been a true catalyst in my life. And so Kevin Clarke, I want to thank you for joining us yet again this evening on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. And so Kevin, good evening, sir. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate it. And I really appreciate the offer and the invite to talk sports with you guys. It's a fun thing to do.
Yes, fantastic. Yes. And so introducing my brother from another mother, Mr. Jamar Goodman. Jamar appears to be busy, but we will get to Jamar shortly. However, introducing my partner here on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast and our other brother from another mother, Mr. Ian Jones, a.k.a. Peoples Hernandez, a.k.a. Rod Tidwell. Mr. Ian Jones, my bro, what it do?
What's up? What's up, man? It's been a while, man. We've been on a break.
Yes,
How
sir,
y'all
man.
feel?
Yeah.
Yo, Ian.
What's up, bro?
My dog, my dog. Yes, sir. And so, yes. Well, fellas, if y'all don't mind, let's get right into the sports. And so let's before we get into the NCAA tournament, I think one thing we all got in common here is that we are Bears fans. And so the Chicago Bears, they made a move, y'all. They made a big move. The Bears traded the number 1 pick. They went down to number 9. They got the best receiver on the Carolina Panthers, and we know who was being a stud, DJ Moore, as well as a plethora of other draft picks. And so I'm curious, fellas. I'll begin with you, Ian. Vic, you can chime in. Kevin, you can chime in, and we'll just go from there. And so, Ian, do you like this pick, and is this a move in the right direction for the Bears?
Yeah, man. I've been very adamant all year for the Bears to go trade for DJ Moore. Now, did I think it was gonna happen? No, I didn't think it was gonna happen because I remember like during the season, the Panthers came out and said I think it was 2 players that was untouchable. It was DJ Moore and Brian Burns. So I was like, well, that's a dream, but that'd be a young receiver they could go get, affordable. They got all the money, he can help out Justin Fields. So fast forward to this offseason and Ryan Poles get it done. I said I was gonna sit back, don't say nothing, and let him kind of do his thing and see, what direction they going. And this is a great start, man. It's a great start. We got the number 1 pick, franchise quarterback. Now we got a number 1 receiver for him. Young number 1 receiver. He's only 25. So it's a great start. And we're still in the top 10 in picks. We got a first-round pick for next year, a second-round pick for this year, and 25. It's a great start. So it's a great start for next year. So as of next year, I can't give my boy Justin no more excuses, man. Just gonna have to be progress. We got a long off season. We see what we'll do in free agency, but it's a hell of a start, man. It was a good move the other night.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah. Vic, your thoughts, bro?
No, like Ian said, piggyback on what he said, man. We was all waiting to see what they were gonna do. It's a lot of pressure with having that number 1 pick. So, it's a lot of fans like me, you, Ian, everybody on the channel right now, and we were curious to see what the Bears were gonna do. So this was a pick to alleviate a lot of that pressure. We still got the number 9 pick, the number 61 pick. So a second round pick. We got a first round pick in 24 for him. And like Ian say, Justin Fields finally got a number 1 receiver. We still have Chase Claypool. We still have Mooney. And we have cap room to make some noise in free agency. So
right.
It's now. It's time. It's time for the Bears to make some noise. So this GM seems like he's trying to do it now. It's not like it's gonna be a 5-10 year process. Like he's trying to get this thing going now. So I'm all for it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes. Kev, your thoughts?
Yeah, the thing also that you got to remember, I echo what you guys are saying, and the great part of the deal is the Bears still have 4 picks in the top 64 this year. Now they got the trade, even though they lost the one with Claypool. They got the first pick in the 3rd round. They still got this 61st pick, and then they got the pick they got from Baltimore. So they got 4 picks, which he can trade up, trade down. If he sees a guy he likes in round, he can adjust. So now we have 10. I think 10 overall picks and 4 in a 64. He still controls the first 2 rounds, first 3 rounds. He can move around as necessary. So if a guy comes up early in the 2nd round he likes, he can jump up and take that, or he can, if no one's there around 60, when he has about these 3 picks, he can move around. He can move back. So he has so much flexibility with the 4 picks in 64 is great. They'll still get a top-notch guy in the top 10. And the other thing that the thing about getting more is key is the free agent class coming out. The best guy was Jacoby Myers on the Patriots, and he's not. He killed every fantasy. He killed every fantasy team who took him. Anybody took him on their fantasy team regrets taking Jacoby Myers. I'm sure you guys know that. So he was the best. He's going to get the most money in free agency. So now they got 3 guys. They can build on 3 guys. They got Bayless Jones as a 4th or 5th. They signed St. Brown as their 4th receiver. So, I mean, they don't have to worry about receiver. He can focus on the lines. Defense, offensive line, take care of that because their defensive line was, as you guys watched at the end of last year, it was awful. No pressure. So,
Right.
Fixed in free agent or in the top first 2 rounds.
Yes. Jamar, what's good, bro?
Oh, what's going on, fellas? Good evening. Sorry for my in and outness, but so Ryan Poe's new nickname for me is Lord Pose. He made a boss move here. Funny thing was he talked about it the week before where I can get 3 first-round picks. In essence, he could have had he not took DJ Moore, but you know what? I'm okay with the second round pick in 25. If I'm getting DJ Moore along with everything else, I'm okay with that. You address the need, like Kevin was saying. Like the free agent class for wide receivers wasn't stellar at all. So you address the need, you get the draft capital, you put yourself in better position not only now but in the next couple of years. You can still probably get the guy that you've probably been targeting the whole time in Jalen Carter. Based on how that whole situation is unraveling here. So, and he still has flexibility, like Kevin said, as far as these draft picks when it gets close to draft night. Who knows? You might trade back, you might trade up. You don't know. But the fact is, Poles wanted to stay flexible. We addressed the need. The word that's been going around Twitterverse is fleeced. So apparently we fleeced the Panthers out of all their picks, and they left with nothing. And their pick next year looks really good for us right now, considering their best wide receiver is Terrence Marshall, who hasn't really done too much as of yet, Laviska Shenault, and a bunch of other YMCA players right now. So there you go. We are in good position, and free agency, just starting tomorrow with legal tampering. So we hadn't even really got into the offseason yet. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. Wow. Talk about a plethora of picks. Man, Rand Poles loaded up. You talking about like the Bears look rich. They look wealthy. Like they look like a team that just got a lot to just work with. And all these picks, all this money, the draft picks, Rand Poles is doing something very special. Absolutely. Y'all, just to address the comments really quickly. Emmanuel Theopolis, what's up, brother? Matt Arrington, stopping by to show some love and share. You guys are awesome at what you do. We've had a number of folks that have chimed in. James Crockett III. Yes, we just addressed it. What do you guys think of the Bears trade? And additionally, I'm all for it. JF1 needs someone to grow to and O-line. Yes, absolutely. And so, yeah, definitely have some needs we got to address. But it's off to a very, very good start. And so, just quickly, fellas, we talked about the draft picks and all these other things. Just really quickly, we got DJ Moore. And so just curious, fellas, if you had to get somebody this offseason to add to the Bears, it could be on offense, it could be on defense, etc. My dream scenario right now as an example, and y'all can laugh, my dream scenario is to get Derrick Henry at running back. That's my dream scenario and add him to that offense. But that's me. And so just curious, Ian, Vic, Kevin, if you guys had somebody on offense or defense that you would want to add to the Bears, let's say from a fantasy look, what individual or individuals would you want to add to the Bears this offseason with that cap or with that money that we have to spend this offseason? Ian, what you think, bro?
I don't think. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Derrick Henry, that wouldn't be so bad. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Derrick Henry, Justin Fields, and with those receivers, that wouldn't be bad. But I think my dream scenario would just be whatever the best offensive lineman we got. I would say that's out there in free agency. I would say pursue him, and whatever. I was gonna say Daron Payne, but he just got a big deal with Washington today, so that's out there. That dream is over. So I would say I think the best offensive tackle or lineman that's out as free agency right now is Orlando Brown Jr. from the Chiefs. So I would say there's rumors that the Bears are going to try to go all in on him. So, we'll see how far that gets. But, we need D linemen and, O linemen for sure.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I don't think Derrick Henry's in the cards. I think they might keep David Montgomery or go with a similar guy. I think they need to get like the guy in San Francisco is McKinley is good. Orlando Brown. They need to get an offensive lineman in the first couple of rounds, and then or in the free agency, excuse me, and at least get one edge rusher or in free agency. They need to get one of each, and then whatever they don't get in the draft. So I definitely that's the scenario. I don't see him. I think the running backs they're not going to sign a big one. I think they'll either sign Montgomery or they'll I think they'll go the young route. I mean, they got Herbert too. So I mean, I see definitely they're going to spend their money on the line. That's my prediction. Both lines.
Yeah. It's a lot of free agents out there for sure. Vic, for the Bears, if you had a fantasy scenario of who you would want to see on the team, would it be, let's say, an offensive lineman? Would it be a certain skills player? Would it be a linebacker? Would it be a secondary person? Like, who would you love to see the Bears pursue?
Before Saquon just got his little 1-year contract, or did they franchise him? I guess with the Giants.
Yeah, franchise him. Yeah.
I thought like a Saquon Barkley would be a great fit for us. While we're working on the O-line and seeing that we had the money to spend. I thought we could have offered Saquon a nice chunk of cash. But other than that, like Ian and the gentleman before after Ian said, we need to attack with that offensive line, like Orlando Brown, Ryan Poles. I think he come from Kansas City. I think they have ties dealing with the back then, so that might be a lane we could work. And definitely an edge rusher. We defense was just lackadaisical, man. We had nobody coming off fierce. I say like an Arden Key or a Marcus Davenport. Don't go overpay for somebody that's on their last leg out the league. Bears are notorious for that.
Bears got that bad. Chicago teams in general.
They overpay for a fading star. I see Bobby Wagner, Patrick Peterson. They'll be free agents coming up, but don't go overpay for guys like that. Like you say, we got enough draft picks. Get somebody young. Get somebody coming out of college with some fresh legs, and let's get it going from there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's see. So in regards to, and Vic, you are absolutely like on it, man. Like in regards to the O-line that being addressed, making sure we don't go overpay for like these big name free agents that has pretty much washed up legs. A guy like Patrick Peterson, though, could help us. He could certainly help us, but don't overpay him is your point. He could help us, but don't overpay him.
Like, get him for a vet minimum, but a guy like him, I don't think he'd come to Chicago for a vet minimum, but like a leadership role at best, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
To bring back some focus on what the goal is. We trying to bring back what Chicago was known for. We've always been known for a ferocious defense. We could throw it back there at quarterback and get the job done. No offense to Justin Fields, but the Bears have 20 years going been always known for that defense. So we need to definitely address some issues on that defense. Definitely.
Absolutely. Yes, totally agree. Yeah. Jamar, so in regards to this scenario, if you had a fantasy scenario, if you had a specific free agent that you would like to see the Bears go after to make us a better team on offense or defense, whom would that player or those players be that you would like to see on the Bears, and who would they would like to pursue?
Man, it was Saquon Barkley. I was following that whole Daniel Jones contract to the deadline of the franchise tag. Saquon is personally my favorite running back in the league, so I would have loved to see it. But nevertheless, look, at this point, as far as free agency, some holes in the front seven needs to be addressed on defense by far. Edge rusher, at least one of those, at least a linebacker, definitely a tackle or a left guard for sure. I don't think he's going to spend all the money on this, in this free agency, but, at least address, some of the holes, some of the, people that can come in and fit the scheme, fit the culture, don't, overdo it. Don't overpay anybody just to, a big name just to come in, just get the people that fits what we're trying to do, move forward. You already got the foundation built on top of that foundation. No need to, get a skyline upper deck with a, with a foundation that's nowhere, not even suitable for that. So therefore, just get players that fit what we're trying to do. That's bottom line at this point.
Right. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah. And so, yeah, fellas, if you guys are ready, this is what we came here for. We came here, y'all, to talk the NCAA tournament. Guess what? I got my paper right here. Okay. Yes, y'all can see it. And so, yes, with that being said, let's now get into college basketball, y'all. And so, first and foremost, a guy by the name of Jim Boeheim is retiring, y'all. And unfortunately, his team did not make the tournament. So Jim Boeheim at most could be competing in the NIT. And so basically, I give this to, let's say you, Kev. You've watched Jim Boeheim before we were born.
Yes.
Yeah. And so just curious, Kev, what do you think of his career? And if you had to give Jim Boeheim any farewell words, what would it be?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think he kind of way he went out, like in a press conference, and they kind of didn't know. It was kind of awkward. So I think it was not a really smooth getting rid of him, but 47 years is an incredible amount of time. And, he had his 2-3 zone he's going to be known for. And, he had it perfected. And that was, and he was able always to usually go farther than his teams thought. I think he definitely remembered, for the national championship with our Carmelo. I mean, that was an incredible run. But I think it's also a pattern of, all these older coaches are just getting out now, between, he's left, and then
Coach K
he left, and then, Roy Williams left. Jay Wright got out of the game.
Yep.
So I think with the whole transfer portal, NIL, all that stuff, I think it's kind of the end of an era. I mean, there's not many, coaches left from that era. Patino's technically, Carl Perry's maybe, but he was more 90s coach. But definitely the longtime coach is definitely not many left. Izzo, maybe. He's from the... Definitely some guys are getting out and don't want to deal with it. But it was probably definitely time for him. I think he had a couple good runs a few years ago where he made the Sweet 16. But, I think he's it was at a point that he knew he had to go, and he just didn't have that good a year, so, but they had to do something. So, but he had a good run. I mean, you win a national championship, you made a couple Final Fours, and 47 years at one is crazy. He was at that school 60 years.
Yeah.
He was a college player. I mean, that's for one guy at one school, there's not many like that could say, oh, that guy's been at that school forever, from day one on, and he had success. There's not that many, coaches like that, John Wooden and a couple other people. Coach K came from Navy. I mean, so he was like one school the whole way. And, so it's pretty rare, and you won't see that. You won't see that very often going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So congrats to Jim Boeheim. Great career. We send you love, Jim Boeheim. That 2003 national championship team was one of my favorite teams. They had a lot of swag. And they beat a good Kansas team, if y'all remember.
Yeah.
That Kansas team was loaded.
They did. Mello, Jerry McNamara, Hakeem Ward. I remember that team.
Yeah.
I remember Mello was unstoppable. He got to his spots, did anything he wanted. McNamara had the three, ran the show. At Hakeem Ward, very athletic down low. I remember.
Yeah.
Hey, no,
He He had unbelievable range, McNamara. He could shoot from 25 and it was going in.
Hey, gearing up for this tournament run, that Brandon Miller for Alabama, he give me Melo vibes on what he could do. Tournament run. He give me Melo vibes, and then the cast he got around him, it give me Syracuse vibes because them boys be balling, man. So that and with what the adversity he been facing, he might do something nasty in this tournament run, man.
Right. Yeah. We finna talk about players to potentially watch. And thank you, Vic, for making my point for Alabama. I appreciate that, my brother. I truly appreciate that. Thank you very much. Absolutely. And so, yes. And so, in this case, Jamar, we're going to begin with you, my bro. We're going to begin to talk about the NCAA tournament. And we first got to talk about Jay Good with Sports. And so, world wants to know, my brother, who is Jay Good with Sports? And explain to the people, Jamar, the tournament challenge that will be taking place in affiliation with Jay Good with Sports.
Man, so Jay Good with Sports been around since 2015. Jay Good with Sports is me and my love with sports and everything that comes with that. So with that being said, every year for at least the last 5, Jay Good with Sports has tournament challenge. And in the link that I posted in the comment section below, once again this year, tournament challenge, for money, $5 entry per bracket, 3 brackets. ESPN is the platform. Get your entries in now. Hey, I mean, last year, our bro Neil Hudson, he won. So Brandon, which you know him from Purdue.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely a fun time. Definitely click the link, join. All the info is within those links. So there you go.
Absolutely. All right. Yes. All right. Jay Good with Sports, everybody. That is our affiliate. That's through our brother Jamar. And pay attention to that tournament challenge. Can't wait to join. All right. So based off of this, fellas, there's a question that we do every year. And that tends to be a Cinderella every year when it comes to the NCAA tournament. And so I'm curious, fellas, you guys got your brackets. If it's possible, can you give a Cinderella team that nobody is looking at that could surprise come this tournament and be like, wow, I never expected a Loyola as example. I never expected a George Mason. I never expected Alabama a few years ago to do what they're doing. And so, yeah, in this case, Kev will begin with you, Jamar, and Vic. And so, Kev, if you had a Cinderella team that you could give us, what team are we not looking at right now?
Well, I mean, how low a seed you want to go? I mean, I think Northwestern, based on what their guard play, I think they're going to make the Sweet 16. I think with their guards, Lundy and Bowie, I think they can make the Sweet 16. But that's not really out there. I mean, I think Charleston is a 12 seed. That's going to definitely be a Cinderella story.
You say Charleston?
12 seed.
You got my team.
Yeah, they're going to beat San Diego State, and then Virginia plays a style where we know Virginia can get upset. Virginia can lose to anybody, but they could also beat anybody. Virginia's that kind of. So I think they'll get to the Sweet 16. I think Charleston, but definitely. I think Northwestern might get there, but that's not really. Beat some good teams. Northwestern beat Purdue. So. But I think Charleston, because they haven't, you don't see them that much, but the 12 seeds are all super dangerous this year. It's really crazy. And I would say I'll throw out Charleston. Sorry, I stole your pick, Brandon. I didn't mean to.
No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. I got another one after that.
Yeah, I would say those are my 2, but Northwestern's not it. And I'm not being a homer, I'm not a huge, I'm a DePaul and Illinois and Loyola fan, and Northwestern is whatever. But it'd be nice them to do well. I don't have anything against Northwestern except when they play Illinois.
Right, but Northwestern has some big wins this year.
Yeah, they had some big wins. I mean, they they killed Iowa, they beat Indiana, they just got cold the last couple games. But their guards, they probably have the best guard guard play in the Big Ten. The Big Ten's issue, just saying, the Big Ten had a lot of teams make the tournament, 9 teams. The Big Ten doesn't have a lot of great guards. That's and usually guard play dominates the tournament. That's the thing that scares me about the Big Ten. I don't know if they'll have much success as they should, but they don't have that great of guards. I like the Penn State guard, Pickett, but I just don't know. And Northwestern's guards are good. When Bowie gets hot, he's unstoppable, but he's been there like 10 years, it seems like. At least 6 years. He's 27, 26 years old or something. I don't know.
Wow.
He's almost as old as you, Brandon. He's almost as old as you.
Wow.
No, we'll see. I'd say Charleston's very dangerous at a 12 seed.
Yeah, definitely. Charleston is a perfect example. Absolutely. Yeah. So Jamar, if you had a Cinderella team, somebody that we're not looking at, for example, like a Charleston, for example, another one might be Florida Atlantic. Like, if you had a team that nobody's looking at right now, bro, what team are we not looking at?
Man, that speaking of Florida Atlantic, that matchup between them and I believe they play Memphis, I feel like the winner of that game can definitely make some noise between
Absolutely.
Memphis.
Purdue. They got to play Purdue. The winner of that game plays Purdue. Purdue's going to have a tough second round game.
Purdue always get the worst bracket, and I need to talk to the committee. They got bad luck. They're playing 2 hot teams. They're going to play one of those 2 hot teams. Yeah, and here comes Memphis, right, Jamar? They just won the AAC.
They beat Houston easily today.
Yeah,
beat them down.
Yeah, and Memphis is one of those teams that got seeded so low. That team's a lot better than what their seed indicates. So that team is dangerous. Florida Atlantic, that team is very disciplined. I think 31-3 record. John L. Davis, Gary, Indiana's own sophomore. He's been a baller for that team as well. So I seriously believe the winner of that matchup can definitely make some noise for sure. And then if I were to have one other one, Arkansas has, I believe, about 3 NBA players on their team, 2 of them which are freshmen that should be lottery picks. That team is very athletic. That team defends well. That team can get up and down. So those are the teams right there.
Should my Illinois be worried then?
Yeah, my heart was somewhat broken when I
first round.
I was like, out of all teams, it got to be.
Arkansas both teams were rated early in the year. Arkansas and Illinois have both struggled the last 10 games though. And both teams were in the top Illinois was in the top 15 at one point, and so was Arkansas.
right.
And other 8, 9 seeds. So both teams are kind of falling off, but they both have the potential. I think both of them could give Kansas a really good game in the second round. So Illinois got to play their best game. Illinois got to play like they played against UCLA when they beat them early in the year. I mean, they got to play that well, and they played good against Purdue. They only lost Purdue, so they just can't be down 20 points in the first half, like halftime. But Arkansas is definitely dangerous. He's made 2 Elite Eights in the last 3 years, I think. So
Yes.
they're definitely, and then they almost made it another year, and Loyola knocked them out. So they definitely had success in the last few years. Arkansas, I would agree there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And bro, you got a team we're not looking at, bro.
He made
2
Elite Eights
from last Jamar kind of mentioned. He kind of mentioned my team. It would be Memphis. If they can squeak past, they would possibly play Purdue. That first game, and they had to play Purdue in that second round. But they got a pretty tough bracket, though. That's a pretty tough bracket. I mean, looking up and down in that bracket, you got Tennessee, you got Kentucky. But if Penny could get them past the second round, I think they could make a run. Especially they had an exceptional guard play today. So if they can keep that momentum going, they probably can make a run for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Vic, bro, you got a team we're not looking at right now.
I would say honestly, not to say we not looking at them because the season that they got, they earned it respectfully with the season they had. But me personally, I feel like Marquette is gonna like walk at least to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
They shoot the ball lights out. Their guards don't really turn the ball over. They play at a pace. All Shaka Smart's teams really play at a high level pace. But these guards that he has are probably some of the best that he's had as a head coach in a long time. And another one I would say is UConn. A lot of people are asleep on UConn. They started off the season strong, went through like a real slump, like a 9-10 game slump in the middle of the season. But the last like 3 weeks to the last month of the season, UConn, besides losing in the Big East Championship, UConn has really, really came on strong. You know, and I've personally tuned in to a few of their games. But UConn is my sleeper team personally.
Mm. Yeah.
I would agree with you, especially out of Big East. I watched some Big East basketball because I'm a DePaul fan, and I saw a Marquette game in person, and their guards are excellent. I mean, they have ball handler Zolak. He's great ball handler, and he's kind of like Dragic, kind of moves and young Dragic, whatever. And then they have shooters that he gets the ball to, and to win the Big East easily and then win the tournament. I haven't won that region. I think because Purdue's going to have some trouble up early, or maybe even Purdue. Marquette could beat Purdue. I mean, I think they're at that danger.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Connecticut's definitely the second best team out of the Big East. Xavier is very shaky. I don't trust Xavier. Any team that loses to DePaul. But Connecticut is playing good. They got two big guys that can protect the rims. They're young and they really put it on. So I would totally agree. Those are two dangerous teams out of the Big East. But Marquette they're definitely a sleeper to make the Final Four out of that region. They're a 2 seed. I mean, that's one of the highest seeds they've got since probably the highest seeds I remember Marquette is ever getting
in a long time.
You know what, D Wade, they were like a 4 or 5. They were 4 seed with D Wade years ago. I think 2 seeds.
And with Jay Crowder, right.
You have to go back before your time, Al McGuire, when they won the tournament in the late 70s. I remember. I mean, they were 1 seed back then, but they're rarely 2 seeds. Probably the highest one of the highest seeds they ever got.
Yeah. Sure. Fellas, I want to ask y'all guys about this game, and just about Texas A&M, y'all. They went to the SEC championship. Okay, they just as you guys saw, just played in the SEC championship. They matched them up against Penn State, who just took Purdue down to the last shot in the Big Ten championship, and they got Penn State as a 10, and Texas A&M as a 7. Could one of these teams be dangerous, y'all, in a tournament after we just saw what they did in the conference tournaments?
For sure. Texas A&M is always dangerous with the way they defend. They don't have to score a bunch of points to win a ball game, as we've seen. They just have to get on top of you early, and once they do that, they just kind of like just coast through with the way with their style of play. Their point guard is excellent, Wade Taylor. I like that little guy. He played good. Tyrese Bradford. He that lefty. He's nice. Gives me not some sort of say James Harden vibes or Manu Ginobili vibes, but it's something about those left hand guards, man. Those that just like to go downhill and attack that basket. And vice versa with Penn State, the Big Ten. I remember you mentioning about the Big Ten conference as no slouch conference. So to go a whole season and to hold your own, make the dance. Penn State can easily be a Sweet 16 team with their style of play. Another team that doesn't have to score a bunch of points to win. They defend at a high rate. Really don't turn the ball over. And they'll cause you to turn the ball over, and that's really like that Big Ten style of play. That slower pace.
Yep.
you have your few elite teams in that Big Ten, but for Penn State to hold their own with the upper echelon of that conference and to come out as one of the ones on top, they definitely can make a lot of noise in this tournament if they can squeak past A&M.
For absolute sure. Yeah. This looks like, y'all, this could be one of the best games for the first round in this tournament right here. This could be one of the best games for absolute sure. And so, yeah, fellas, let's progress. We have now talked about what teams could be scary. We've talked about Jim Boeheim. We've talked about Jay Gilbert Sports. The last thing we now got to talk about, guys, is our picks. And so, in this case, we are going to go Jamar, Ian, Kev, Vic. At this point, y'all, we need to pick our national champions. And so, if you want to, Jamar, if you want to go through the bracket, take your time, bro, whatever. If you want to get straight to the point, just say, I believe this team will win. That's fine. But give us your national champion. And from there, we're going to post this on the page we believe will be our national champions for this NCAA tournament.
All right. Let's see if I can pull it up if it lets me. All right. Okay. All right. So I'll give you my final four and I'll give you my national champion. Okay. So my final four consists of Alabama, Marquette, Xavier, Gonzaga.
Wow.
Gonzaga again?
Jamar
but
loves Gonzaga. If he would have went to Purdue, he told me he would have went to Gonzaga. So it makes total sense.
Man, but my national champion, I don't really ever say these words, especially when it comes to football here, but I'm not familiar with this, but Roll Tide?
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide? I'm not used to saying that at all.
Wow.
But I do have Alabama winning it all.
Imagine what a story that would be, y'all, if Alabama win the national championship and they'd be like, wow, number one, everybody's used to them for football, Jamar, but then also what that program been through, as y'all know, this entire season.
Right.
Yeah.
All the adversity that program has been through with the young man. He's still playing on the team, but he lost one of his teammates. Young girl died. It's been a lot going on in that program. And so what a story that would be. So yeah, Jamar, appreciate it, bro. We got Bama. All right. Ian, thoughts, bro?
So I really haven't came up with my final four yet, but I do have like 2 or 3 favorites that I think of win the natty. So I'm with you, Jamar, and I know Brandon won. Alabama, that's my number one pick to win it all. The Brandon Miller kid, he's exceptional, man. Like Vic stated, he give me Carmelo Anthony vibes, 6'9" wing. He can do it all. He can control the pace. He can get down on the block. He can shoot. He can score. He can do it all. So I haven't really seen. It's been a couple guys in college basketball you've seen like that, but he's definitely he should be the number one pick coming out next year. He should be number one, for sure. Alabama. I wanted to say Houston, but I feel like Houston can get knocked off. I feel like if any number one seed that's out there that'll get knocked off, I feel like it will be Houston. Like I stated, I want to pick Purdue, but Purdue always let me down. Purdue let me down last year, big time. Gonzaga let me down big time. Gonzaga been letting me down since I was a kid. So they all out of trash with me, bro. Which would be crazy. If they went and won it all this shit. That would be crazy. But I didn't learn my lesson. I won't pick Gonzaga. And you know what? A kind of sleeper, which I was surprised that they won their conference tournament, is Duke. I'm surprised that Duke won the conference tournament this year.
Yeah, my final four, bro.
Yeah, with John Shire from here, that was pretty big. I can see them making a run. So I wouldn't be surprised if Duke. Got to the final four.
Hot, scorching, bro. Scorching.
Yeah. you know, they don't have that pressure of, you know, trying to end Coach K outright. You know what I'm saying? They just playing with no pressure. So I wouldn't be surprised if they made a run. But I think my number one pick would be Bama.
Yeah, but bro, I like your case for Duke. Kev,
Yeah.
Jamar, Vic, and Duke was undefeated at home this season.
16-0. 16-0.
Mhm.
They never done that with Coach K.
No,
It's tough.
Never.
not in a long time. Unless he was on when, you know, when like a couple of years they only had one loss or something. I think he might have done that, but that's they're hot at the end.
Yes. Went
I
on
feel
a
like
winning streak at
robbed
the
on
end of the season. Oh, my bad, Vic. Go ahead, bro.
Oh no, you all good. I was just gonna add in. I feel like they got jagged on the seeding that they got. I feel like Duke should have been a 3 seed at the least. A lot of people looked at ACC, and like you guys just mentioned, to go 16-0 at home, and then to run the tables, to continue to be hot and run the tables in the ACC tournament. That's tough. And the ACC for years, decades, has always been tough. Like, you know, these other conferences are just really getting, you know, notoriety for having like good basketball players. The ACC has been known like as a, you know, almost as a mecca for basketball talent. And I just feel like Duke got robbed. But like Ian said, that might be the seeding they need to make a run. And you look up and they in the Final Fours waiting. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I think the Duke. I agree with you that pod they're in with, you know, because their first round game is tough with Oral Roberts, who's a sleeper for a lot of teams.
30-4.
They're going to have to get to the final, you know, the Elite Eight. They got to beat either Purdue, Memphis, or FAU. So I mean, that top bracket is that top section of that bracket where Purdue's in is probably the hardest, because Duke won their tournament, Purdue won their tournament and the conference, FAU won, Memphis won the conference tournament. So you got teams that are all playing well at the end of the year, and they all got to face each other in, you know, first 2 or 3 rounds. And so we'll see what comes. It's gonna be hard. That's why I'm glad Marquette is at the bottom of that bracket.
Exactly. Marquette, like you say, Marquette, where they're placed at, they can make a run and be right in the Elite Eight, Final Four without even having to face anybody tough. I don't think Purdue, though, as far as Duke, when you said Purdue, they'll have to probably face Purdue. I think they might get knocked off. Like he said, I can't.
Yeah,
I got Vic. I got Duke beating Purdue.
I can't trust Purdue outside of that 7-footer. He's tough. You know what I'm saying? But you can always game plan for a player like him, because he's only lethal at the rim. It's not like he's the modern, you know, big man. He's stepping out beyond the free throw line at the 3-point line. So if you game plan for him, the rest of those guys are mere role players, young at that. So I just feel like with the way Duke's rolling, I think they could roll right past Purdue.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. And it's tough. It took everything in my heart to try to find a reason to pick Purdue. Everything. You know, I thought about Jamar. I thought about my moments. I thought, I'm like, I got to pick Purdue, you know. But I just kept looking at our recent history, man. We always lose in big games.
Bro, I felt the same way. And dude, I'm still mad about St. Peter's last year. I'm still mad about
Peters.
They had no
How could you lose
business.
to St. Peter's? That
was our national championship last year.
That was our ticket to the Final Four. We should have been a Final Four team automatically. Everything, red carpet was rolled out, and they stumbled.
Mm-hmm.
You got that motion.
Committee tried to help us on purpose.
You had a 15 seed in the Sweet 16 you had to beat. All you had to do was beat a 15 seed in the Sweet 16.
Right.
I mean, oh my God, that was like.
Think
about this, Purdue. Yeah, Purdue won the Big Ten tournament, and they beat a 9, a 10, and a 13 seed this year.
And then that's another thing to even say that Purdue last year had a better squad. They had Jaden Ivey.
Yep.
They still have a 7-footer that's still on this team now.
Right.
Yep. What's gonna change this year without a dynamic guard? to complement the big man. Man, they gonna get they might not make it to past the second round for real.
Yep, and that's why I was saying between Memphis and FAU, I think Purdue might have a run for their money for real.
For real.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow, y'all, we talking about a lot of different teams here potentially, man, for this tournament. Kev, who do you got for your national champion?
I got. They've had a lot of success the last couple of years, but never made it. I think Houston. This is the year. I think this is going to be.
Finally get there.
I think they're going to finally get there. They got. I mean, they lost to Memphis, but they're missing a guy. I think they're going to get everyone back. I think they're dangerous. I think Marquette's going to make it there. I think Gonzaga, shockingly, I don't want to say it, them, but they're going to make the Final Four. And then I just have a strange feeling Emma's going to get upset. And I think Arizona is going to come out of that bracket. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. They're a 2 seed, Arizona, and they won the. But it's crazy. I read a couple articles about how good the top 4 seeds are, and this is like the weakest year. They did studies on like the top 4 seeds across top 16 teams are so weak compared to it's going to be such an open bracket. Top 4 seeds might win their first game, but that second round, there's going to be tons of upsets, and it's just figuring out who's going to get upset in the second round. But I'd say, out of the top 4 seeds in each bracket, I think about half of them are going to lose in the first 2 rounds because it's wide open. I mean, I think we're all guessing. We kind of have teams that, I think Gonzaga is maybe due for, they played a lot better recently at the end. They're kind of not as high profile. And, they beat Alabama early in the year. So, I mean, I think they've beaten some good teams. I think they'll get there. I think Houston, can get there. It's going to be hard because anybody could really come out of nowhere. I'm trying to figure out some lower seeds that could do some damage. I agree with Connecticut. It's definitely one of them. They're young. They got talent. They've been playing great. But there might be an 8 seed that comes out of Memphis or, Arkansas might sneak in. So, I mean, I think it's the 1-8 games, 1-8, 1-9 games. They're going to be great games. And usually sometimes those are just blowouts. I think those are going to be great. I think so. One round, it's just going to be unbelievable. It's just going to be crazy close games everywhere. It's going to be a really fun tournament. It's going to blow up a lot of brackets. So exactly. I'm definitely looking forward to the second round. The first round, there'll be some upsets. But the one thing I would say, you go from 5 to 12, nobody's going to be, those teams are all like this tight this year, they say, from 5 to 12. No one's going to be more than a 3 or 4 point favorite in a 6-11 game, 5-12 game, 7-10 game. No one's going to be a big favorite, and anybody can win those games. So it's kind of like you're just picking darts then.
Right.
Those games, you just got to figure out what teams can get through the first 2 rounds, and those teams are going to, and figure out that, if they get through, they can get to the Final Four. So you gotta figure your team can get by the first 2 rounds. So I am going to pick Illinois over Arkansas. Just in case they get lucky. Right. They're due for, and if they play some interesting, I mean, them versus Kansas with the whole Bill Self thing would be interesting. Texas A&M versus Texas. If Texas A&M, your team, you guys were talking about, if they can win that first round, they play Texas, and that is, they're pretty bitter rivals since A&M left and went to SEC. But now Texas is following them, but they're going to play against each other in about 2 years. They're bitter rivals. That'd be an interesting game. So you look for the games in the second or third round. That'd be interesting. That'd be, big rivalry games or big matchups. So we'll see what happens. But it's going to be definitely wide open tournament. And I think it's, anybody's game. I saw them in person. They got the lefty point guard, like you guys were saying. Whatever it is with lefty guards, they because no one's used to them. And they got a lefty point guard. He's just dangerous. He goes downhill fast and he distributes the ball, and he can get it out to shooters, and that's what you need. You need someone to get by guys, get them out to the shooters, and if your shooters are hot, that's what. Yeah. So those are my thoughts about it. Should be fun though. I'm definitely looking forward to watching all these games.
Definitely, guys. My wife gave me advice for the NCAA tournament bracket. She said, "I don't know why you make it so hard. just close your eyes, press the buttons, fill in the teams, and whatever comes out, that might end up being your national champion. That's what she told me.
Not bad advice.
Might not be bad. Pick the
Anything
animal.
goes in March. Anything goes in March.
Yeah.
Man, real.
We
It's
be
gonna-
sitting here just overthinking the whole thing.
Dad's gonna win a bracket this year because it's so wide open. You'd be like, oh, I just took that team. I just took St. Peter's. Oh, they're in this. They're fine. Lead 8.
Tomorrow still.
I'm still mad, bro. I'm still mad about that.
That one St. Peter's, he was just like a little guy. He kept making every shot against Purdue. I don't remember the
Yeah.
guy's name, but he made like every time he was open at guard.
Yeah, the Mighty Mouse. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but he just kept. I remember that
Man.
game. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe Purdue's going to lose. This is
And it was
their
like-
chance. And I mean, yeah.
And it just kept going on and on. I'm sitting here like, all right, we in the second half. I remember how to play basketball, y'all. You know, something.
you have
And
you
with a
have
stick, do
Jaden
something.
Ivy. You just give him the ball every time. Oh my god.
I'm taking home, but
He couldn't hit a shot.
yeah. And so this will make sense worldwide. Right now, Purdue's not a popular pick on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Jeremy, I'm sorry, my brother, but we kind of view the history of Purdue, and so right now it's not a popular pick. Vic, who you got for the national champion? Do you got Purdue or who you got?
Oh man, Purdue, man, they're gonna be golfing pretty soon, enjoying the off season. I think, and like I said, I'm big on momentum. And way Alabama, ran through, just the season in general. Every team had a few hurdles to overcome through the season. But the way, like I say, with the adversity they were facing as a program, from the coach to to the AD, everybody has been over exceeding. I would say you get led by young freshman dominant team, Brandon Miller, that Clowney kid, tough, man. Those two are tough. Javon Quinterly, when he wants to show up and play ball, he's one of the top guards in the country. So me personally, my pick would be Alabama, and then a close second would be Marquette, because like I said, their seeding and who they have to go through, I feel like they can just dance their way to the Final Four. Me personally, that's about it. That's who I feel. Alabama or Marquette. I don't really feel like anybody else had a dominant showing, even through their conference tournament, besides like a Duke. Duke would probably be a close third behind Marquette. So if it wasn't Alabama, I could see a Marquette winning it, or I could see like a Duke sneaking in there. But nobody else really, like I said, really showed me anything to where I could see them just dominating their way through the bracket. Besides Alabama, that's my favorite.
Okay. Yep. And so in this case, and your number one pick would be Bama.
Yep.
And then 2 would be Duke.
Yeah. As a sleeper. Yep.
Right. And Kev, you got Houston. And me, Jamar, Vic, you can just say in as well. So right now, Alabama, y'all, and this ain't college football playoff, we got them as a popular pick to win the basketball, not football.
Yeah,
National championship.
for sure.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to even say. Which is crazy to even. That's crazy.
It is.
They didn't make the college playoff in football this year.
I know, right? Yeah.
Right. That's
That was crazy to believe. Yeah. Nick Saban's still mad that they didn't make it. He still believed it could have beat Georgia.
Dude, Nick Saban's just gonna be bitter forever now.
They would
Right.
have lost to Georgia this year anyway. So
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
Nick Saban
Michigan should have beat Georgia. Ohio State should have beat Georgia. They blew it. So
Oh man,
Yeah,
we
Ian.
talked about that with right.
Your
You
team
see
had
how
one
Ian is
job.
thinking his teeth, Kevin.
Your team had one job. Your team had them on the ropes. You
Get them on the ropes. Couldn't put them away.
Let
Let
him off the hook.
them off the hook. You can't let teams off the hook. When you have them down, put them away.
Yeah, over here trusting the kick in that situation. Man, go for the gusto.
Yeah, they were too far away. They were too far away to kick that ball.
Man. And that's crazy to
when you
think,
got a
right?
first round talent and quarterback, you supposed to trust him with that ball, man.
Facts. I don't ever trust a college
I would-
kicker for a game winner. No.
Yeah. And to sit there and think about it, y'all, like, how would you feel, Kev, Vic, right, and Jamar? You, Ohio State, right? You at home, and you watch the national championship game.
See, it's 40-0 in the first half, or 40-7. It's like we could have been there and we could have beaten them. It's like, oh my God, we could have easily won the national championship if we didn't screw up the fourth quarter. I don't want to blame the kicker. Too far a kick.
Last
I don't
five.
blame the kicker. You blame the kicker. You don't blame the kicker trying to make a college kid making a 50-yard field goal. You gotta get closer, and you don't blow a lead like that. But yeah, I mean,
Yep.
They must have watched the national title game. Go, holy crap! We could have coasted to this. We could have
Easy.
TCU.
Easy. They would have crushed TCU. Easy.
Yeah.
It would have at least been entertaining because that national championship game was terrible.
Turned it off at halftime.
That game was terrible.
Yeah.
Ian, if we open
maybe
any
all of us
wounds, I'm
turned.
sorry.
What'd you say? What'd you say, Jamar, bro?
I said, Ian, if we're opening any wounds for you, we're sorry.
Yeah, bro. I couldn't believe it, bro. I could not believe it, bro. I was like, I know and the kick was so terrible. Like, it wasn't even a shot.
It wasn't.
I could have went out there and kicked the ball like that.
Man.
Yeah, I could have kicked the ball like that. I'm like, man, bro, what you been doing?
I could see if he wasn't no wind, wasn't no rain, no snow in the dome, like, bro.
Any chance of him going to the NFL went down the drain.
Yeah, you can't blame a college kid. I mean, the kid's like 18 years old, and you're making him try to kick a 50-yard field goal.
No blame at all. No blame at all. No blame at all.
He should have been more aggressive on that last drive.
Yeah, they were definitely. You got to get like a 30-yard. You got to be like, when you're in college, like you got to be like, get to the 30-yard line or whatever. I'm still mad about Michigan-Illinois game where Illinois got screwed, and Michigan might have been, Michigan might have been in a different position.
Yeah, they definitely got screwed.
Illinois got screwed. Got a bad call. They would have won the game. There was a pass interference they didn't call late in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still. It would have been the biggest upset in Illinois. It would have been the biggest upset in Illinois history, and second biggest, but they had that game won, and they had a good.
And wasn't Michigan running back still healthy when we were beating on them? Wasn't Chrome still healthy?
Yeah.
I think he got
like one of the fastest.
So that's why we can't say you couldn't take nothing from that game. U of, like he said, U of I, man, we got gypped on that call, man. We were
that was bad.
And U of I had a pretty decent team this year. They did, right, Cat?
I think the quarterback's going to go to the. He's going in the first round. Weatherspoon, right? He's going pretty high up there. I think he's going to go in the first round.
Be top 15. Top 15.
Top 15. Yeah.
Quarterback.
Not a corner.
Cornerback.
Oh, it's quarterback. I say, what's his name?
I was going to say, like,
Witherspoon.
Okay, right. Yeah.
He's great. He's great. I mean, their defense. Yeah.
I know they had a great running back.
Well, yeah. Chase Brown.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna be playing Sundays next year. He'll be playing on Sunday next year.
I mean, the brothers. They had two brothers. They had the safety and their running back. Yeah, they both sat out the bowl game. There was a reason they didn't win the bowl game.
Right.
I mean, a lot of guys sit out the bowl game. They could beat Mississippi State, but I mean, they lost. They lost a couple close games. They could have at least been in the, at least they should have won the West this year. It was kind of frustrating. So I went to the Illinois Northwestern game. It was nice, 40-3. They killed them. That was good. It was all Illinois fans. I went up to Evanston, and so Illinois is my football team. I went to DePaul, so, and Illinois is now kind of my basketball team, and Loyola is kind of my basketball team because I have a daughter there. And my other daughter works at Northwestern, so I can count them because DePaul never has made the tournament once in 30 years. So
Oh man.
I have to take other teams because when you have a team that makes once in 30 years, you have to find other.
Yeah.
I don't know why DePaul can't get no talent down there, man.
I know. Got a good stadium. They got a
In
nice
the Big
stadium.
East.
They're
Yep.
the biggest Catholic university in the U.S. And they keep asking me for money, but for NIL money. But I just paid for my daughter's tuition 4 years, so I'm like, I'm not giving you more money because you should be getting enough money. You're the biggest Catholic university. I just gave you $100,000. Okay, you don't need more money from me.
Man.
You can get money from there's some big rich guys, not rich, lot. They got big money. We got big money people. We just got to we have to get the money out of them. Pay for the NILs, and now you can pay, but I do like the coach. The coach seems like a good guy. I've talked to people who know the coach, but when it came down to the coach for DePaul, it was between him and Shire. An organization didn't want to go with Shire. I'm like,
wow, really? Really?
Yeah, I know
Shire at Duke.
So, yeah, I mean at Duke. I mean,
That's
he went
tough.
to Duke. I mean,
That's
DePaul could have taken him, but I mean, because he's from Chicago, he's from Glenbrook North.
Right, he's from Glenbrook North, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know.
Wow, that's amazing. And so world, we apologize for our ADHD moment. As you
Sorry,
guys
I sorry I took you off track.
Okay, it's fine. We were
Brandon,
vibing,
I'm sorry,
man.
I apologize.
We have various ADHD moments, especially with Jamar, and they always have ADHD. This happens all the time. So it's totally nothing new, man. It's totally nothing new, man. We are good here, man. And so
I was gonna ask you about Simeon basketball and how did they not win the
They
title?
lost
I don't know if you saw that.
They lost.
How did they lost?
They lost.
Watch that game.
It was overtime. They lost in overtime. It was overtime.
I watched that fourth. I watched the second half and overtime. That was a great game, and that was a great. But they lost. I could not believe in his last game, the coach's last game. And Metamora lost at the buzzer last year on a crazy shot, and now they won it this year. But that was a good game. I went to a couple of high school basketball games, and this year watching some teams, and it's great. I mean, but I watched that game. And, I didn't know if you know Simeon lost. I couldn't
that was the one game I wanted to see them win. The one game, because
hats off to Metamora though.
Metamora's tough.
Boys were playing. Those boys, they beat East St. Louis, then they beat Simeon and went to the state. So those boys
spread them out. They spread them out, and they had 5 guys who could handle the ball. Metamora, and then they did the back doors, and they came back. They're down 9, and they took the lead. And then Simeon came back and tied it. Simeon had an open 3 on a wild scramble, and the guy just missed. That would have taken the lead. And then Metamora didn't miss their free throws in overtime. But it was a great. I don't know if you guys anybody saw the game, but it was a good 3A game. I didn't catch the 4A game, but the 3A game I know that was a really good game.
Right, and this was the head coach's last game at Simeon, right, fellas?
Mm-hmm.
Say what?
This was the head coach's last game, right? Vic, this was the head coach's last game before he retired.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Tim is taking over. Tim Flowers is taking over. I think.
Word.
Yeah.
What? Wow. Man, I'm loving to see like Morgan Park and Simeon, y'all to go like with the former players.
Was Morgan Park? How far did they make it this year? Were they any good or no?
No, they were terrible. Morgan Park was terrible.
Yeah. Unachieved. Yeah, it was a rough year.
And the football team held it down though.
Football team definitely.
But basketball, it's a rebuilding year. We're like the Houston Rockets right now. We're rebuilding.
The team around here that did good for a while, and then lost in the Rolling Meadows, right next to Arlington Heights. They have one of the Christie brothers, and they were ranked really high, and then they lost. They were in a tough bracket and they lost. But I heard one of the Christie, the his brother is going to Minnesota.
Right, yeah. So I thought he was already there. Okay, so he's
No,
going
he
to
was
Minnesota.
the brother. Yeah, no, he was a senior on the Meadows team this year.
Okay, right.
In Arlington, I live right next to Meadows. I mean, I'm relatively close. I'm in where they're going to build a new stadium in Arlington Heights, Brandon's old haunts. But Meadows right next to where they're going to build the Bears stadium, and I live in Arlington Heights. But Meadows was the team everyone talked about. They could make it down, and they didn't. They lost, and they got the kid's going to Minnesota, and I was talking to someone, and it's like how long he goes to Minnesota for. His brother pretty fast, so went pro. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, Kevin, we know, you and Vic, we know y'all definitely big into like high school hoops.
Yeah, I like high school basketball is great. It's great.
Yeah,
One of these
deep.
days, my team is going to make St. Pat's is going to make the downstate. We'll see. Maybe next year, but
Right. So let me ask y'all, fellas. And I know Ian, you big with it too. They lose to Saint Ignatius or Simeon?
no, they beat Metamora.
They beat Saint Ignatius. They lost to Metamora. Okay.
St. Ignatius.
Yep.
St. Ignatius barely won and made it to the Elite Eight. They have Kendall Gill's kid on the team. It's going to be Phoenix Gill. He's a sophomore, junior. He's pretty young. He's a really good guard they have. But Simeon beat them by like 10, and then Metamora was really good. And like I said, Metamora lost at the buzzer last year in 3A. So, but it's those high school games are great to watch.
Yeah.
I saw Ignatius. They won in 2 overtimes to go down state in the super sectional, and that was a fun game. The year before, I went to the game, and Ignatius beat my St. Pat's in overtime to go down state. So, I mean, when you get overtime games or close games and you go to these high school games, it's lots of fun to watch.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes. Yep. And so, fellas, one thing we got to do before we depart on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast is to do final thoughts and shout outs. And so, Ian, we're going to let you go. Vic, we're going to follow up with you. We're going to go with Kev, and then we're going to give Jamar the last word. And so, Ian, bro, any final thoughts or shout outs as we head into the weekend?
Yeah, shout out to our guests, Kevin and Vic. Kevin's been on a couple times, has great knowledge of the game, always great conversation. Vic, I've been knowing him since I was about 19 years old. So good chopping it up with you fellas. Me, Brandon, Jamar, we back. Been on break, but it was a good conversation tonight, man.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Definitely. So just to piggyback on what Ian said, man, I appreciate y'all having me, man. It was fun. My first time being on a podcast, man. And like I say, it was fun talking with you guys, hearing what you guys had to say. Definitely had fun. And, just good luck moving forward with everything, y'all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Vic.
Yes, sir.
Kev.
Shout out to you, Brandon, for running this, organizing it. You're so organized and know what to do. And thanks for inviting me and talking to you guys again every year. I love talking sports, obviously. Give you my old white man perspective. And I tried to get Brandon to play basketball with me, but now he had to move to escape playing basketball with me. So to avoid me, because we used to play at Allstate, and then I tried to get him back out playing, but he had to move to avoid playing. I don't know why. He probably moved just to avoid me because he was in the same town as me, and I kept bothering him. So Brandon knows I like to play basketball. He knows I like to play. I got a few more years left, but I love talking sports. Any kind of sports. College basketball. This is be a great month. You got NBA finishing up.
Yeah.
About that, you got the free agency, which is great. And then you got the baseball about to start. Well, baseball pretty good. If you're a baseball fan, I'm a baseball fan.
Yeah.
And just watching on USA Mexico tonight. Shout out, that should be a good game. Kyle Schwarber going to throw a home run yesterday in the World Baseball Classic. It went crazy, so that's gonna be fun. And the tournament is gonna be great. I'm gonna have to cheer for Illinois and Northwestern, but I love talking sports, and we'll see what shout out to the Bears finally doing something right, maybe.
Hey.
The last finally doing something right. And I think it's going to be a good year. I can't wait till September. It's going to be like they're going to have at least a solid team. Where last year you knew they sucked.
Yeah.
By they could keep games close, but they couldn't win. But it should be fun. I love talking sports. I appreciate the invite, and I love talking to you guys. It's great to get all different perspectives and stuff. And I appreciate see who wants the teams and all that. You guys love and see where it goes.
And appreciate it, Kev. We truly appreciate you, man. You always come. You always join us. It's always a blast. And so, yes, in regards to the Bears, it was rough last year when me, Ian, and Jamar, we had to kind of make picks emotionally. A lot of emotional picks rather than like logical picks. Just, we know they're going to lose. We just still kind of went with it, And so, I'm very guilty of that. Ian and Jamar know it. Bears know they're going to get blown out. I still try to make a case. They're going to blow somebody out.
Brandon, I'll give you this though about the Bears last year. I just tell you one stat. They had 10 games. They were within one score within 5 minutes to go to game, and they went 1-9. So every time the game was close, they were 1-9. The only game they won was the Houston game where the Houston fumbled and the Bears kicked the field goal and won. Every other game they were in it, and then the problem was they needed to pass it up or win, and they couldn't pass because they didn't have a receivers line. They had no penalty against Miami. I mean, there was just a lot. They couldn't move the ball at the end of the games, and they couldn't stop anybody. So Atlanta just, so again, the Bears were bad in a few games, but there was like 10 games where, the Packer game they should have won, and they were up in the fourth quarter, and then they blew it in the last 5 minutes, meaning they made mistakes. So they got to get over the hump. Fields has got to get over the hump where when they have to pass, he can make the passes, but I think they got receivers. Now they need a line to protect, to move the ball. But I don't think they were that where I thought like Houston got blown out until the end of the year. Houston was getting blown out every game. There's a couple other teams that like just gave up. And I mean, Bears kind of gave up the last 2 or 3 games, but when they start a bum quarterback in the last game, obviously they gave up. But I don't think they're that far. If they get some defense and they get some offense line, I think they got the quarterback, got the receivers, they got money. They got money to spend. So
they're definitely trending in
the
right direction.
I'm excited. I think a 9-8 season's definitely in the cards.
All right, awesome. And so yes, our brother Jamar, give us the last word, my bro.
Hey man, somebody put the word out. We back. We back, man. But no, shout out to Vic. Appreciate you, coming by on a Sunday evening, but you got to come by on a Saturday morning though.
Come on, bro.
You definitely got to do one of those for us for the one time. And then Kevin, you got to come back for baseball, man. We need you around for baseball. Baseball is gonna be coming up here, start of the season, about 3 weeks, right? About 3 weeks from now. So Brandon, make it happen. Make it happen, Mr. Price. Get Kevin on here.
Hey, man, most definitely enjoyed it. So anytime, man, just shoot the kite and let me know, man.
Yes, sir. Love. Yes, sir. I got you, Jamar. And so, yes, bro, we appreciate you all. We had a lot of views, y'all. Now, I should have went out there and I should have told people to press like, but we had a lot of views. And so that is a positive. And so, yes, we truly appreciate you all rocking with us this evening. Appreciate you all for supporting the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. And we love some sports, man. That's what we do. So appreciate you all. Vic, Kevin, love, and Jamar, my brothers, love. May you all have a blessed week and a blessed season.
Bro, y'all